There we go. That's what I was looking for, everyone. All right, so it is 1:01 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm coming to you from the wonderful city of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It's a pleasure to have you here. Those of you in Florida, thoughts and prayers are with you. Hopefully, you're not going to be affected directly with a hurricane in any way, shape, or form. But today we're going to be talking about the animation industry. This is the beginning of a series that we do of town halls that will go through the entire scholastic year. We do one a month, and each one will take on a certain subject for a different audience. It could be K to 12, it could be higher ed. There'll be ones that will deal with production, some that will deal with AI. But today, what we're looking at and what we're going to be talking about is the state of the animation industry. As many of you are educators or have teaching in one form or another, you need to kind of understand what the state of the industry is, because if you're going to incorporate animation into your classroom, you're going to learn that industry alignment is important, and there's going to be some things that we're going to definitely be talking about, including an industry overview, available careers, examples of animation. If we have high schools here, I might show you briefly what a high school can do. Industry expectations. A lot of people would like to know what the studios think, and it will be very interesting when you get the news. And then we're going to have, hopefully, if everything goes right, there'll be time for questions, because I think being able to answer your questions will provide more insight of the program, of what we do, and how what we offer can help your students better align with what the industry is expecting. So to kick off properly, my name is Bernard. I am the educational sales director for North America. I have been with Toon Boom for 13 years. I've worked in numerous markets, including Asia Pacific for Toon Boom. I've worked in education. I've worked with the major studios. I will tell you straight off, I am not an artist. But in the animation industry, you don't necessarily have to be an artist to be able to contribute to a production, which is very important. So to get this going, I'm going to show you a reel that we put together this year. These are all projects that are coming from various schools, various students, which is really interesting to see, because there are some things in there that I find are better than what the studios have put out recently. So I'm going to let this run, and then we'll kick it off. Right here, because we have so much material to talk about. But you can find this on YouTube, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen, which I have covered right now. So let me just remove that. So here on the bottom, you're going to see the name of the artist, the school, where they're from, and the software that you use. And I want to make sure you understand that by the time this is done, the technology is going to be very important for the employability of the students as they go over. So to get this out of the way, who's Toon Boom? Toon Boom is we are a software developer and designer that's been around for over 30 years. Our technology has gone under various names, including US Animation, PEGS, Animate Pro, Harmony Storyboard Pro, and we have developed our technology through the direct input of the studios, which include Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Marvel. There's so many shows and so many projects that we've been put on that the studios will come to us and they'll say, we have this idea in mind and we need a new tool. We need a new functionality, which our R&D guys will put together. And then once that's in, we will release that out to everyone, whether it's studios, whether it's schools. But some of the big notable ones on this particular sheet, now this is just a snapshot. Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, Lion King, something artistic, the Breadwinner, Wild Kratts, We Bare Bears. It doesn't matter the type of production that is being done, they're using the tool that best suits the vision of the production heads, which is an important aspect because there's two, you're going to hear me use terms like greenlit, traditional animation, puppet animation, hybrid animation, and I'm going to try to have some examples of those so you understand, and you're going to get a clear picture of what's happening. So there are two softwares that are dominating the market right now. You can do animation, and I want to make it very clear, even though I'm Toon Boom, there are multiple softwares that are being used in the industry today. We are the foremost leader. You can do animation with, as you know, with paper and pencils. However, with Toon Boom, it is with pre-production is Storyboard Pro. I will show you two examples of what Storyboard Pro does in way of actual production, and Harmony. This is your animation software. This lets you do puppet animation. This lets you do traditional classical style of animation. It works hybrid 2D, 3D. And we've been having these series, another series more for higher ed schools, which are deep dive into these softwares, which can be very interesting. But what you're here to learn about today is the landscape, what is happening. And it is very important to know, even though we've had some challenges, that the future projection of animation and video streaming, because that's where the business is right now, it's being driven by these companies right here. Netflix, Amazon, Peacock, HBO Max, Apple TV, and Disney. Those are the ones in North America that are ordering the most productions, be it live action, be it animated, be it documentaries. And there's even an image here of the breakdown of what these streamers have been ordering. And you'll notice here, 36% of that, or 35.3% of that is dramas. That makes sense. Comedies, that makes sense. Animation. Adult animation, so we're talking about Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty, are the new sitcoms of today. You're starting to watch all these very edgy, very gritty animated shows, and they're very funny, they're very well done. They're replacing the Friends, they're replacing the Seinfelds right now, because you can take these shows and you can hit international markets. And as this is growing, and you can see the cadence, you know, even though we had a strike last year that had a global impact on the industry by the writers, production still continued. Shows still got greenlit, and greenlit is when the studios put money aside for the production to be made. And an important element of that, and we're going to get to that a little later, is storyboarding. Storyboarding is the most important stage of any production out there, because this is where a production lives or dies, be it live action or be it animated content, because it's a lot of money to put it aside. So when we're looking at this, these are shows that the studios are craving. And we're not even looking at it here in North America alone. Think about it internationally. If you go onto your Netflix platform or your Amazon platform, you're going to find a lot of content that is coming from India, coming from Korea, coming from Latin America. There are so many shows of various qualities that people are becoming more evolved in their viewing habits. It doesn't matter what language a production is in or a show is in, it really has certain touch points on just a great story or a great action or great animation. And we're seeing that. I think of shows along the line of Narcos. I think of shows like Squid Games. I think of RRR, which was out of India, which was a beautiful film production. These are shows that people around the world, even though they're not in English, you got the dubbing there or you got the subtitles, are consuming. And the studios are looking for more content like this. In the past, when it came to international content, in North America, you were getting a lot of stuff out of the UK, stuff out of France, a lot of stuff out of Japan. And when it came to anime, now you have everything. There is a whole a series of productions and shows that people are eating up. And this is influencing a lot of young people as they perceive the entertainment industry. And there are jobs for everyone, which will give me the ability to kind of jump into that, because what jobs are available? What industries are looking to hire people? So we know, as I indicated, television, film, yes, everyone knows that. Gaming, growing, AR, VR, stop motion, all these things are ongoing productions globally. And when you think of animation or any type of production, when it comes to animation, it is a very global job. There are some shows, and I'll use The Simpsons as an example, that they use our technology on, both for the pre-production and the animation, that is boarded, concept, voice acted in Los Angeles, and like a James Bond movie, goes international. In this particular case, they go to Korea, not because it's cheaper. It is more expensive to send the production overseas to Korea because these people know and understand how to do classical style of animation. They do hand draw. This is what they specialize in, but it's not because it's cheaper. In North America, shows like Hilda, Rick and Morty, those particular shows are puppet based. This is where North America has been excelling, and 85% of all those productions that are puppet are done here in North America by North American studios, by artists that are graduating from our institutions here, which is amazing. But there are other verticals that are rapidly growing, time-based animation, legal animation, medical animation, web. We haven't even talked about the whole industry that is tied into everything that deals with web advertising, or YouTube, which is I think is now one of the biggest providers of content globally. So what do these jobs look like? Well, you have various elements of it. So you have your higher management. So you have your director, you have your producer, your production coordinator. These are the guys who are running the production. Then you have your development department, which is your concept artists and your writers, because you cannot have a great show without a great writer. We see that every year at the Emmys, every year at the Oscars, or the BAFTAs, or any other major thing, that they have a great writer and they have a great editor, because editing ties everything together. art directors, background designers, character designers, head of story, all these people, not everyone here is an artist. The head of story is not an artist sometimes. These are writers. These are people who specialize in bringing a concept to life. Then you go down into, this is where you start getting specialized. Your TD, your animation technical director, your animator. There's a huge demand for animators, and you're going to see that more and what the requirements are. Compositors. Just because you cannot draw doesn't mean you're not great at compositing. Effects, technical effects. You cannot have a great show these days without great special effects, and this is something that is growing. The special effects markets are growing exponentially because the shows are becoming more and more complex. From there, you have other industries, right? So unscripted TV, post-production, broadcasting engineer, film and TV dramas, visual effects, as I indicated, the VFX, and games. All these are requiring certain level of skill, all being taught at the higher ed schools. Some of the high schools are jumping into this market, especially if they're career tech ed track, that they have a special one for this. That does align with industry, and it is a paying job. An animator can get $100,000 a year, and this I pulled last year from a site called Bright Outlook. But audiovisual technicians only make $50,000. You make more as an animator. A performance artist makes less. Software developer, Toon Boom, is what we do, and a video game designer also makes a lot of money. And this is basically, in some markets, starting salary for many places. And that's important to keep in mind. A lot of parents, a lot of family members think an animator or an artist cannot make money. You should tell that to some of the artists I know that have nicer houses than I do, because there's always jobs that are available. And that kind of brings us to what the expectation is. As I said, you can create animation with crayons and paper and your iPhone. Other mobile phones are available. But today you need to have an understanding of 3D. You need to know how to use Maya. You need to know how to use Blender. You need to know how to use Photoshop. You need to know how to use After Effects in many instances. And you definitely need to know how to use Toon Boom. You need to know, because, as I said, 85% of all the productions here in North America use Storyboard Pro for the pre-production, and they use Harmony for the actual production. We act as a Sherpa for a lot of the other softwares out there. So if a production comes in and they go, okay, well, we're going to do a 2D, 3D show, then what they will do is they will grab their 3D assets from Maya, and they'll drag it and drop it into Harmony, and they will continue their animation on top of it. Or they're coming up with a concept. I got a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Drag it and drop it into Storyboard Pro, and then you have the full cameras where the artist or the storyboard artist, which are two different things. An artist or an animator works on the production team. The storyboard artist works with the director. Two different worlds, two different powers. So this is very important. Understanding the technology is key to success at any studio you go to as a graduate or someone who wants to become an intern. You need to know these. The studios, and this is the second important point. One, the first point is you have to understand the technology. The second point is the studios are not going to teach you how to do it. If you are a teacher, if you are part of a university, if you're part of a high school, you need to teach the software that the industry is using. Because once your graduate leaves and they're going to go knock on a door to see Disney or Warner Brothers, they're going to go, great, you know how to draw, it's clear. Do you know how to use the technology for these productions? If they do, if you know Maya and you know Toon Boom, Harmony, then great. You're going to be able to be hireable, and then the studio will show you how to take your tools into the actual production. If you're a school and you think this, as I said, the studio is going to do it, it's not going to do it. So here's an example of a storyboard that is used for animation. This is where, as I said, a project lives or dies. As a producer, you're coming to me and say, I have an idea for a show. I would like you to invest in my project. Most people will have a Bible, they will have a character book, they will have their story, their episode outlines done, and they will have, in most cases, a storyboard, an animatic of a project. And I'm going to let you talk a bit.
And welcome back to
Quite
the
a
satellite moon
topic.
of Gatta. Millions of fans eagerly watching us down to the last lap of the annual race.
So, as you are watching this, you're going to get an idea of what the episode is. You're going to have a 30-second shot, whether it's an opening of a show, let's say The Simpsons. What a great way to sell a project, because you kind of get an idea of what it's about. Then you have, in this case, we know it's a science fiction. We know who the audience is, mostly young adults. It's most likely going to be a comedy because the characters look a little funny, and it's going to be high action. As a producer, I'm looking at this and I'm going, great, this is wonderful. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Or I'm going to come back and you go, you know what? I need to change. We need to change some elements in this show. It's not hitting the mark. So as someone who's going to pitch the show, you're going to go back to the drawing table. You're going to make the changes based off what the guy with the money wants. And you're going to make those changes there and then you're going to go back and hit him again. This is a similar idea when you're working with live action. And this is, again, is being done with Storyboard Pro. This is from a real production, which is called Mr. and Mrs. Smith for Amazon Prime. So the tools and the techniques that are used here in the animated side is different because these are more detailed in nature. Here, I'm sitting next to the director as a storyboard artist, and I am watching or listening to what he wants to see or she wants to see. Where are you? Can we play? Oh, don't do that to me. Son of a gun. Oh, well, so here, imagine, if you will, I'm sitting next to Steven Spielberg. He has an idea for a cop show, and I'm going to be sitting down. He's going to describe the show, and I'm going to quickly sketch it out. And then he's going to say yes, and now they're going to be driving off a cliff. I'm sketching that, and then I'm running the animatic. At that point, Steven will come back to me and says, this is awesome. Yeah, this is how we're going to shoot it. Or he's going to say, I need some changes. As a storyboard artist for film and television, I will be able to, I don't need to be detailed. I just need to be clear enough that the director can go to his crew, go to his actors, go, this is what the scene's going to look like. And this particular gentleman, Mark Simon, has a great repository on YouTube. You can see all the shows that he works on, including The Walking Dead, Stranger Things, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Dexter, all these shows that he is the storyboard artist on, uses Storyboard Pro, because you have to get an episode a month issued. So these studios here, and why technology plays an important role, dictate within the contracts that you need to deliver one episode within a 12-month period. That means as an artist, as a studio head, I need to use technology to enhance the production speed, to make sure that the quality is out there, because if you're Netflix, you got to deliver your animated show in 4K resolution. If you're Amazon Prime and you're investing in a show like The Lord of the Rings, which is a very visual, very expensive show, then you're going to need to make sure that the technology and the storyboard artists have detailed what the scene is going to look like, because all the actors are going to be working up against a green screen, and they need to know where they're looking, where the monster's coming from, where the horses are coming from, where Mount Doom is. And the only way to do that is by getting that animatic ahead of time. Once we go into the animation side, it's a totally different world. So technology, again, plays an important role into getting the studio to really hit the marks on the story that they're trying to tell. And in this particular one, with Christmas coming up, it's a great time to use Klaus. And yeah, I know it's 2 months away, but Klaus is a great one because this is a game changer. I'm going to talk over it. So this particular show started off as a project in a different software, and there were certain elements of what they wanted to do and what they wanted to complete that they could not in that other software. So they came over to us, and our R&D guys sat down with their studio, and we developed our technology to interact with their proprietary technology. And when you look at this, you're going, oh, wow, this is one, it's beautiful. It's a great combination of 2D, 3D, and it looks toon shaded. It looks like something that would be coming out of Japan by way of taking a 3D object, flattening, and then you're putting a lot of light, volumetric lighting on it, but it's not. This is classical style 2D animation. This is hand drawn that they used light shading to help give that volumetric feel to the characters. Now, this is a beautiful show to see because once this aired on Netflix, Disney and Warner Brothers and some of the other classical studios that have worked 2D features said, we're going to go back to 2D because it really is expressive, which is not something you can always do with 3D. Even though Pixar, one of the greatest studios for 3D in the world, make happen, it becomes very expensive for a production like that, as opposed to something like this. And then we go into the puppet animation. Puppet animation has different layers, different levels. And puppet animation, you're starting up with your character design, and then you're breaking it up into its pieces. You're putting it on a skeleton, you're going to start putting some articulations on it, and there are things like simple puppet.
There's a new team of heroes coming to PBS Kids.
Very quickly, you can really do an episode maybe in 2 weeks, because here I don't need to do a lot of movement to be able to get my story across successfully. And it's the difference between a classical style of animation like Klaus versus something like this. All this is done in the pre-production stage. So once you have your characters and the characters are approved, they're broken up into their components, they're put on a skeleton, and then it's just you're using the technology to do poses and keyframes. And then the software will do all the articulation in between. But then you get into shows like Final Space, which is one of my favorite shows to watch. But if you're watching stuff on Netflix, and there's one that I would love to recommend, but it is very mature in nature, so I will not do that at this time, but it is available right now on one of the streaming platforms. It is just pushing the envelope. It is beautiful animation. And in this particular show,
catastrophic failures reporting on
of a hybrid show. This is the bar of where the studios are headed. They want cinematic in nature. They want a combination of puppet animation, hand-drawn animation, and 3D animation. They want a lot of effects and a lot of compositing. And you're starting, even if it's Has Been Hotel or any of these other shows, these are not your grandparents' cartoons. A great show to watch, and I don't have an example of it here, is the Cuphead show. The Cuphead show, when you look at it, that looks like hand-drawn 1930s animation, and that's all puppet animation. but it's very high tech. Even your some of your anime that's coming out of Japan now uses Harmony because of the point that it's the quality of the tools are there to really get the story out, get the details of the characters out. It lowers the costs of the production, which allows the team to move faster. And that's what the studios are looking for. Faster, better, more creative. And this is an amazing series. And so the difference between a hand-drawn, and everyone's used to as a kid would draw in the seam of a book and then flip the pages. That's your traditional kind of style. I'm simplifying it a bit. And then you have stuff like this, which is more puppet based, where you need nodes to look at. You have to understand where the rig is moving. You need to know where your layers are. There's a lot of detail in this, but because all the work is done in the pre-production phase, it makes it easier for the artist, because again, you're just grabbing the character, you're putting a hand in one place, you're putting a keyframe, and then you're going to change you're going to swap the image with something else, and then you're going to do a keyframe, and the software will be able to do the articulation smoothly and easily. So there is a change, and this is very important to know, and this is very important to focus. Yes, everyone should understand how the basics of animation work classically. The Mickey Mouse, the Bugs Bunny, yes. But a lot of schools will focus so much on that when the graduates are coming out, they're not ready for industry, because the industry is doing this. All the studios, all the productions that are being done in North America, and then maybe there's about a handful that are still doing the traditional frame-by-frame animation. Very few. Everything else is this, whether it's Lower Decks, whether it's Cuphead Show, whether it's Hilda, whether it's Rick and Morty, all those are puppets. Solar Opposites, another one. And the style and the flexibility, it all depends. Again, it's just a tool. It's just a software. So just checking on the time here. Good. So we're moving along. So I'm going to focus just quickly on what a high school can create. And the reason I'm doing that is because this past weekend was one of the great competitions for animation that not enough schools are participating in, which is called the 24 Hours of Animation. This is where universities and high schools from around the world compete to create 30 seconds of animation within 24 hours. And if you're an animator, you know that's incredibly insane, because you're a team of 5, you're isolated, you're working with cameras on in your place, and you're doing the animation to be able to deliver it the next day. This is something where we've seen more and more teams from very noted schools from around the world competing, because there's nothing out there that acts as a litmus test to how good your animation programs being offered at a higher ed or even at a high school level. This will put you in your place, because you might be school ABC and you might be the cat's meow because of a brand name, but your students cannot successfully get into the top 10 is an issue. Last year was amazing because you recognized every name that was in that contest. And imagine if you were taking everyone from the NFL, every team from the NFL, and you're putting them in a contest, and then suddenly you have teams from international markets that beat all of them. That says your program is missing the mark somehow. Not that it's a bad program, it's just it's missing the mark. So what happened a few years ago is a high school here from Canada won the 24, actually placed 7th overall out of 400 teams from around the world, and they did amazing. And their animation, which is absolutely spectacular, and I'm going to let it play. So this team here is the one that did that video. And that's so hard to do, to create, and this was frame by frame animation. But they had a program that the teacher was super motivated, the students love it, and now it's to a point that the studios and other universities are running over to try to get these kids to enroll in their program. This is absolutely fantastic, and this is not, and these are not a unicorn. We have this past year, this past weekend, we had schools from Georgia, we had schools from New Jersey, we had schools from high schools from Los Angeles and Texas. We had schools from all across the US, and now we're starting to get some internationally that really want to compete, because this is a great way for these kids to really get their name on the market and understand what the expectations are. Because in animation, you are expected to deliver a finished animation within a certain period of time, whether it's puppet, whether it's hand drawn, and depending on the quality, that time for delivery goes lower or higher. And that's important to know. That's point 3. Delivery time is key. Schools have this wonderful attitude of, let's, embrace these people, let them have the time to grow and develop and become something. The challenge is when they graduate and they walk into a studio and they realize they have to do 15 seconds of hand-drawn animation and deliver it within 5 days. That's a lot of pressure for them to do it. Or to create 50 seconds of finished puppet animation a week, that's a lot of work. And many times they don't understand the pressure that's on top of them. So if there's a school out there that is teaching animation, really tightening that up will help them transition seamlessly from the universities or from graduating from high school into a studio environment. And it's very important to do that. And it's very hard to do that. Another thing where animation is growing, which is gaming. So here's a couple of some games that were made that use Harmony over time. But this area, it's a social gaming, not AAA games, where the jobs are. And this is important to know, because when you think about it, and hopefully you can see my iPhone, this is where most of the games reside. So you're able to develop a game with smaller teams. You can go to market faster. And again, technology plays an important role. Toon Boom can work with any game engine, where we have an integration with Unity, which makes it easy. And I'm not doing it because of Toon Boom. You can use any other software. But as technology goes, this is an avenue that if you're not teaching gaming, then it might be something you need to look at. And again, we fit into it because it's the same technology that we use for the animation side, is the same one that we use for the gaming side. It's not more money, it's just where to put the software into the classes. So as we approach the end of this, what are the industry expectations? And the industry expectations is key, is you have to listen and follow instructions. That is the hardest thing to do, because everyone, when they graduate, think they're going to be a director or an executive somehow, which is wonderful. But when we're talking to the studios, the biggest challenge they have, and one of the reasons why they get rid of people, because they cannot listen, they cannot follow instructions. Most studios are signing a contract to deliver a Mickey Mouse. Well, Mickey Mouse is a multi-billion-dollar brand. If they say that Mickey's jump pants has to be fire engine red, someone can't go up and go, yeah, but you know what? I want ketchup red. No, this is a brand. This is on cue. They also have to be able to develop more of those soft skills and take the criticism that's coming from them. So the listen and follow instructions is really important. They, as I said earlier, they need to know the software. That is an important element to the success of any job. Back in the day, you had to know how to type. I'm sorry, I'm a man of a certain age. I had to learn how to type to get a certain sales job. But you need to know the software. If it's 3D, you need to know Maya. You need to have an understanding of Blender. If it's 2D, you definitely have to know Storyboard Pro, and you have to know Harmony. Have to is the key word. You have to know how that works. You need to know how Adobe works. You need to know how Photoshop works because many productions will use it. So there's a bunch of tools. And when you think about it, I always compare it to chefs and cooking. A chef like Gordon Ramsay understands how spices work and understands the cutting techniques, and he also understands flavor profiles. That's the same thing that applies in software, in animation, in gaming. You really have to really understand what that means. Every job is important. And that's an important line, only for the simple reason you're starting at the bottom. Once you graduate, you're walking into a Disney, never graduate and just try to knock on the door at Disney and Warner Brothers. You got to go cut your teeth elsewhere. So every job is important, whether you're learning how to do cleanup, whether you're learning how to do ink and paint. All these little experiences will make the student or make yourself, I don't know how many students are on here, really understand and fit into a production. And you got to be open for criticism, and you want the criticism because it'll make you better as an artist. Your portfolio, the student's portfolio is key. Toon Boom has been, every now and then have been asked to help with assess student portfolios. And that could be something we're looking into in the coming year. But you know, if you're applying for a storyboard artist, don't really show stuff that deals with effects and compositing because that's not what the artist is looking for. That's not what the studio is looking for. You need to have all killer, no filler. Anything that's a half-baked idea, don't put it in there. You can show something that's a work in progress, but if you create a portfolio that is this big, when technically your best stuff is this big, only show you this stuff. Because like any other employer, they're going to focus on the stuff you showed that wasn't show ready. And then they go, well, they're not ready for this job. And finally, it's be open. It's not about you. We're talking about productions. You're getting, you know, just kind of get an idea how much an episode of The Simpsons is. We're talking millions of dollars per episode that has to be delivered in a certain time. Because if you are not open to the information that's being given to the students, or to a freelancer or whatever, you're not going to last. You're going to get out and then you're going to say, well, you know, they didn't like me. It's not about you. It's about getting the production done by the end of a month. That delivery time is crucial. If a studio misses the delivery time on an episode, they lose money because there's penalties that come into play. So that's really important. If you are a high school and your students are looking at where to go, there are high schools throughout North America, higher ed schools throughout North America that use our technology, that align with industry. And this is just a snapshot. These are some of the top schools, but there's so much more within the US and Canada that I'm just highlighting these ones, but there's so many other ones that we deal with that have a fantastic program. They want to align. They're working with studios, like SCAD is a great one. They're based in Georgia. There's 3 studios in Georgia that keep grabbing their students every time. Algonquin College is in Ottawa, Canada, not far from here. They are in a city where their students have an opportunity to go to any of the studios within that city, because they align. As a teacher, you want your program to align with what these studios are going to be working with, because if you don't align, then you're not going to be able to work on some of these great productions. Your students will not be hireable. If you're a university and your students are not hireable, the comments that they're going to put that they couldn't get a job will just hurt a really strong program. So that alignment is important and essential. And I don't want to sound preachy. I'm just cutting to the message we get from the studios, because Toon Boom does exactly that. We work with studios. And we have a lot of free resources that are available, including this Twitch channel, Toon Boom. Twitch at Toon Boom is fantastic because we have so many conversations with industry specialists that it will give you more insight as to what the expectations and the needs are of the actual entertainment industry. This is a free magazine that I truly love. It's animation from every angle. This is in-depth dives into the ideas behind the creators. And this is a wonderful place to go. This is something that is absolutely free, and it has everything, every type of community out there. And again, you're getting the creator's perspective. It's not a Toon Boom perspective. The Twitch channel is not a Toon Boom perspective. These are people that are from the industry that are talking about their experiences and sharing that experience with the industry. And then, of course, we have a Learn portal, learn.toonboom.com, which is a fantastic resources out there. And quickly, I just want to make note, because as I said in the beginning, this is a series of town halls. The next one is going to be November 6th. It's going to be focused more on K-12 animation, but there's a lot of colleges and universities that can attend, because we're going to have Mary of LaSalle, Zabird Brain, who is one of our superstars. You can find her stuff all over YouTube. She is wonderful, and she knows how to get ideas across. In December, we have one that's all about production with Stacy Eberschlag. He's been in the production industry for close to 20 plus years. He has tons of experience, and we're going to be talking about productions. In 2025, we're going to have one that's going to be focusing on the high school career pathway, perfect for CTE teachers. We're going to be doing one in February, which is about AI. We're going to bring in our CTO, because AI is the future. There's no way you're going to be able to work around it. If you're using Photoshop, there's AI already in there. There's a lot more tools, a lot more features that are in, and I think having an understanding of how AI is going to play a role in the future, whether it's in animation, gaming, or any other industry, this would be a great one to follow up. And then we have a special on gaming in March. And with that said, any questions? You can open up your mics. Any questions? Well, no question. That must mean I got all the information out there. Oh, wait, I see something in the chat here. Hold on. Yes, Wexford, I saw that. Things are coming in. I can't wait till Friday. So Wexford Collegiate School is out of the Toronto District School Board. They participated in the 24 hours of animation. Theo, can you pop on and quickly give an overview of what it was like?
It was, I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, we can hear you. Perfect.
Brilliant. And I'm trying to turn on the camera, but it's not working. It was an outstanding experience for the students. We had 3 teams of 5 students compete, 24-hour experience for them all. 2 teams were able to work in a similar space. And the spacing for high school teachers is a bit of a challenge from a liability standpoint. You want to make sure the kids are okay and they'll be taken care of. But all the kids that I spoke to that were participating in it felt it was an incredible experience. It was a great team experience for them to do. And at the end, I was thrilled and happy to see that all 3 teams were able to complete their work and get it done. So it was great. I really recommend for those people out there to try and explore this. Even if your kids may not complete the project, have them do it earlier so that they can do it one more year after, and that way have a better understanding for the lay of the land. And the other piece of advice I would give is there's a lot of resources out there from this year that can prep you for next year's competition. So I definitely do recommend it.
Thank you, Theo. And just so everyone knows, Theo's team is up against schools like Sheridan, CalArts, NYU, SCAD, Les Gobelins, universities and schools from around the world. And it's always great to see when they start placing in the top 20, the top 10. Maybe this year, Theo, maybe it's your team that's going to win number one. We'll find out on Friday.
Well, regardless, I'm thrilled at their efforts. We all want to see our students do the best that they can with their work, participate as fully as they can, and most importantly, just get a feel for what it's like working in industry. And I thank Toon Boom for sponsoring that program and also for helping us get this program going at our school. It's been a great addition to our curriculum.
You guys have an amazing program over there, and Jim is the man who really helps with you in Northview Heights and future schools down the road. I can't wait to have a whole high school. I'll have to talk to them when I'm in LA in 2 weeks over at see if they could do 24 hours just high school kids. But I think this is great. Thank you very much, Theo. The best way to get in touch, Andrew, to your question, how do I get onto your mailing list for future talks? That's a great question. Whoever invited you here to this event, or education@toonboom.com. Thank you, Fred. That's a great way to go. But whoever invited you here, stay in contact with that person. They know this, they have the lists. And if you have any questions about any of the techniques, any of the shows that are out there, please do not hesitate to let us know, because the more information you have, the better armed you are when you're teaching something as wonderful as animation in one way or another. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Yeah. I think Mr. Doyle has a question.
Oh, yes, please.
We're live from Sacramento, California, Elk Grove. I teach animation, so I have a class full of students right now that are working in Toon Boom.
Hey, way to go. Elk Grove, that's one of mine.
Oh, cool. So one of my students have a question asking, can you pull the slide back up that shows the colleges that teach Toon Boom?
Sure. So you're in Sacramento. So the closest area that if you're looking at something for a university, you have the Academy of the Arts in San Francisco is one of them. The Academy of the Arts in Oakland has it. Fred, what is the school in Sacramento? I just went blank. We have a college in Sacramento that we're dealing with.
Let me pull the database.
So yes, there's some schools within your region that actually do teach animation using Toon Boom. But you can go all the way to LA, Long Beach, Chapman, Woodbury, Fullerton. There's a lot of state schools. A lot of them are further south, but in the Bay Area and around, you got Kenyatta College. But in Sacramento, there is one there, and for the life of me, I can't remember. What we'll do is I'll get it to you.
Are you referring to Sac City? Sac City,
Nope.
Cosumnes, Sac State?
No. I'll get you the information and I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? All right, on that note then, I wish you all
One more
great rest of
question.
the day. And remember, next month on the 5th, we're going to be doing one with Mario LaSalle, which is the bird brain, and that's going to be awesome. We'll see you
Bernard, hold on.
Yep.
One more question.
Oh,
Yeah, one of my students just asked, can you share the slides?
I cannot, sadly, I cannot share the deck, but I can get you the slide and we'll get you the schools in California so they can go.
Thank
I'll
you.
send it through John Buckmaster.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bernard, safe travels.
Thanks. Talk to you soon, Theo.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.